I tell you, folks, AP sued. Now it's 10 years ago and got all the internal minutes of the meetings between the big 10 oil companies, how they said there's too much oil. We're going to promote peak oil. We're going to tell the school kids and everybody there's no oil. We're going to fund the environmental movement to brainwash people about this. And we're going to buy up the independent refineries and shut them down. And we're going to restrict oil that way. And the Pentagon comes out last week and says there's no more oil. And within 2 years, you're all going to be paying $7 a gallon. Water. There's more water than ever. There's all these ways to get water, even in areas like Southern California. But they tell you, even in areas of washing water like England, oh, you're going to pay double, triple, quadruple now. There's no water. When England has more water than any other island nation. I mean, it's just the giant aquifers everywhere, incredible precipitation, huge reservoirs, and it's just scams. And here in Austin, they just say, hey, we are going to give you a $2.6 billion, this is Austin Energy, tax over the next 3 years on your natural gas and power. That's more than all the taxes every year combined. Just one new tax bigger than everything combined. And it's for the earth and for the children, and just shut up. We're going to do it. We're lawless scum. And who do they pay the money to? The banks. And the city of Austin has taken almost all the pension funds and invested it in the derivatives. And now the bankers have come to them and said, you better raise a bunch of taxes because there's going to be no money. And they go and do, I mean, it's just, we have to get out of bed with these crooks. You're like, well, I'm not working with the crooks. Well, neither am I. But we're still in bed with them. We still live in a country that absolute criminal scum run. And they've already committed millions of crimes, so why not commit 10 million more? Why not just steal everything? They've already stolen everything that wasn't nailed down. Now they're in there with crowbars, stealing what is nailed down. They've taken the kitchen sink. They're pulling the tile up. They're pulling the drapes out. They're now bulldozing the building for timber. And we're in here with it collapsing, going, hey, don't enslave us. And they're saying, shut up, terrorist. You're planning to stage terror attacks. We're like, excuse me? We're just pointing out your crime. Shut up, terrorist. The police are going to come arrest you. And we're what? We are now into the fourth and final hour. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up, the rhetoric isn't just rhetoric now coming out of the ADL and Southern Property Law Center. It is authoritarian. It is tyrannical. It is despotic. It is the antithesis of a free society. They are calling for law enforcement to be used against the entire patriot movement. Southern Property Law Center going after Ron Paul. It is just incredible. That is coming up. Also, Dick Morris, Bill Clinton presidency, orchestrated the 93 Waco, Texas tragedy. That is coming up at the bottom of the hour. And the big banking takeover. You think the bailout of a year and a half ago was bad. You ain't seen nothing yet. But right now, I wanted to go back to a few of your phone calls. Let's talk to Judy in New York. You're on the air, Judy. Thanks for holding.
Hi, I have a couple questions. I'm very happy to talk to you. I've listened to you for a long time. One of them is Ted Kaczynski, or the Unabomber. Do you know much about what was behind that?
Yes, the L.A. Times reported he was a deep-cover CIA operative, also involved in the MK Ultra program, and he was basically set up. And how they do that is they threaten to kill your whole family if you don't, basically indict yourself. And so he's just one of their people they set up.
The reason I'm asking is because his brother is, I'm going to go hear his brother talk tonight, and his brother apparently does not know any of this, and his brother has suffered a lot. I heard his brother turned him in. But
well, his brother doesn't know that it was in the L.A. Times in an article by Alexander Cockburn, who went and got the records from Harvard and, was it Stanford? Guys, Google Theodore Kaczynski, CIA, L.A. Times. Let me get that exact university correct. But no, he was in the CIA, and he was in the MK Ultra program as a volunteer, and that has been in major newspapers. Okay. That was in the L.A. Times, one of the publications. But go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I'll tell his brother that information. And it sounded like he didn't know it, according to the newspaper article, but I'll tell him that. The other thing is they're trying to take over, the mayor's trying to take over the school districts, the city school districts. there an agenda behind that?
Yeah, they put in government schooling that's designed to dumb the kids down. They always give it more and more money. And then they purely federalize it now with federal standards in No Child Left Behind. And so the process of the type of education where the government will decide what you're going to be when you grow up. And they're going to incentivize it where they give you the money if you do what you're told and become what they tell you to be with incentives for tuition. Okay. They're also turning many public schools into military academies. So you know, we're going the way Russia was 60 years ago, and Russia's going in the opposite direction.
Right now, they're just doing it with city school district. They're not doing it with suburban schools. Do you think it'll change? Because they're doing it. New York City has it, Boston has it, and they're trying to do it with Rochester city schools.
Yeah, I know Chicago's doing it as well, and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are involved in some of the private funding of that as well, and that's just so they can take over education and make it even worse.
Okay. Okay, and the last thing, Anderson Cooper was on last night on CNN, and they were talking about the Barry Soetoro not being born in the United States, and they were laughing at it. They said people are crazy. They were just all laughing at it. The two guests he had on, plus Anderson Cooper, they were making a joke out of it.
Well, that's what the Nazis would do in 37, 38, and 39. People would say, they're arresting people, they're disappearing. They'd go on the radio, and the Nazis would laugh. And Poland said, the Germans are massing troops, they may invade us. And even 1 week before, the German radio and newsreels, people would watch TV pretty much in the theaters. They didn't have television then. Well, the Nazis actually by then had public TVs. They had some in public areas they were broadcasting on, but mainly newsreels, and they would laugh. Oh, they say there's a world government. The banks are robbing us. They say there's police brutality. Tell me another one. For those who just joined us, we had a caller asking about Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, and what his story was. And without spending a lot of time on this, because I've got to get to the most important news of the day here in the last hour, here's a counterpunch written by Alexander Cockburn. He also wrote an article for the LA Times on this. This is Ted Kaczynski, the CIA, and LSD. And then this goes into the Harvard records of him volunteering for CIA mind control experiments and his connections to the CIA. If people want to read that, it's Ted K., the CIA, and LSD. I was right, it was Harvard that he worked with the CIA with. Okay, this next issue, I've already covered it some earlier, but I want to speak to it now in more detail, is so horrible, so off the charts, so bad, that I don't even know what to say, really. I mean, I hate to get into something like this without covering it all. I mean, playing the clips off MSNBC where they're saying it's sedition to criticize the government, we should be arrested. That was said by a CFR member on Monday. We played that yesterday. Clips on Face the Nation saying that alternative blogging is a form of terrorism. We played that yesterday. Michael Savage going further than he's ever gone, saying the government is going to stage terror attacks. Again, he did that Monday, so it's good that some big talk show hosts are seeing what this is, a setup. Bill Clinton last Friday saying that, if the Tea Parties don't stop their rhetoric saying the government's corrupt and tyrannical, it's going to cause another Oklahoma City. And, I hope that doesn't have to happen to shut you up. These are very thinly veiled threats. And then you have the Black Congressional Caucus caught going out in the Tea Parties, trying to start fights, claiming they were spit on and called the N-word, and it was all a lie from all the camera angles. And you've got Democratic Party operatives caught going out with Nazi signs all over the country at Tea Parties. We told you about that a month ago. It finally broke in the Associated Press last week and is now a big national news story. And I've heard most of the big conservative talk show hosts talk about it finally, because this is very dangerous. And then 2 days ago, we read the new Southern Poverty Law Center report You know, they're not going after the Ku Klux Klan of the Aryan Nations these days, which in most cases it's come out they're federal operatives. 2 months ago it came out in court that Hal Turner was an FBI agent, not operative agent, running, you know, all these hate sites and calling, you know, for judges to be killed and saying that, you know, I'm a Jewish agent and all this stuff.